It's always exciting to design a project, show it in 3D and produce 3D renders in ArchiCAD. But the most critical stage of the project is producing construction documents. These are a set of drawings that as an architect or designer, you produce during the design development phase of a construction project. They serve as a project manual during the construction phase and they assist permitting agencies and inspectors from local authorities who have to clear the project. Hello guys, this is Dominic. Welcome to Mesolight Visual. In this video, I'm going to share with you the best approach and system to carry out and produce a set of construction documents in ArchiCAD for your project. As an architect or designer, you must produce two sets of construction drawings that specify every detail of the project final design. One set of plans is called the construction set and it remains on the site throughout the construction process. They guide the actual construction administration under the direction of a general contractor. The other set of the drawings is called the permit set and it goes to the local permitting authority, which is usually part of the city or the county government or country government. The permitting authority checks the drawings for safe adherence to building codes and zoning laws. Please, if you are new here or you have been watching our videos without subscribing, kindly subscribe to be part of this great channel for architecture tools, tutorials and videos. I've opened the default ArchiCAD template to set up a construction system that will allow us to extract construction drawings or construction documents for our projects. So the first thing that we need to set up is the classification system. So to do that, go to options and open the classification manager. Remember, this information is available under the Graphisoft website. So by default, we have an existing ArchiCAD classification there, ArchiCAD classification system there. Let's just delete this to set our own and go to import. And like I said, you can access this information under a Graphisoft website and download. So let's use the Uniformat 2010 CSI. It comes as an XML document for us to load. So let's hit on OK and OK. There we go. If you expand this is a system that is grouped in categories. This is representing, it's more like a standard across the construction industry for documents. As you can see, all elements are under the coding systems that give you the thing. So the most important part that we need to pay attention here is when we are creating a layer system, we are going to try address or mimic or copy what's under this classification systems. You can hit OK to complete the loading of the system. So from here, we are going to create a layer system. So if you go to options and element attributes, or you can hit Ctrl L on your keyboard, let's just maybe stretch this to fit the elements in, all the elements in a window, just like that. Yeah, like I said, we need to create our own system in this window. ArchiCAD comes with layers and layer combinations just for you to reuse. So by default, they are not addressing any kind of category or system to organize elements in your project. So what we need to do is to rename this or regroup this into some categories. I'll start with the layer combinations. Remember, layer combinations represent the drawings or the views that we're creating. So here we're going to create this as a representing as maybe the disciplines in the construction process of the project. So for example, I'll have a discipline for architectural, discipline for interiors, discipline for structural drawings, electrical, plumbing, telecommunications. You can go further and scale it up, but for the sake of demonstration, we'll just limit ourselves in a fewer disciplines. So for example, let's rename the site to A means or represent architectural. It's a standard way of coding the construction documents throughout or across the construction industry. So I have the A slash, I don't know, it's a slash or it's an upright slash, then site. That's how I'll separate the coding and the naming of the layer combination. So and then I'll have the plans also under architectural, then slash the upright slash, I'll have another A for slash A for, let's say, elevations slash sections. Then we have A for roof. Oh, sorry, these are drawings under architectural discipline. So we have plans. Let me just say this is just plans. We have plans, site, roof, and elevations and section. We can add details there. Let's say A and details, just like that. And we're going to have S, structural, plans, structural, and then another one for E, electrical, P for plumbing drawings, and then I for interiors. We have another one for, like I said, T, telecommunications, there we go. Oh, this one we didn't separate. There we go. And add another layer for landscape drawings. We have another one for, I'll say X for other disciplines that are not captured here. Disciplines. There we go. And from here we need also a layer that will control all these layer elements. So we have a layer called all, that we have all elements visible. So for example, I want it at the top there. To do that, let's just give it 1 point something to be at the top. Here we'll make sure every layer is active, so that if we want to show all layers in specific view, so we have a choice to do that just by clicking on this layer combination, and then everything will be there. So when it comes to, let's deselect this, when it comes to layers, we also need to create a system. Remember this, guys, your project, when it grows, it compounds with elements, so your layers will increase dramatically. So if you don't have a management system of your layers elements, you're going to have a terrible project. So this is a building information modeling program. It's not like other 2D or traditional softwares whereby elements are hosted in one view. In just one layer. Here you have layers of viewpoints that are stacked together to provide or to create a virtual building. So you need a proper system, a proper management system to organize and manage these elements. So in this case, we have some 2D information like dimensions, annotations, labeling, but if you look at, they have some description. They are specific. This is for dimension for site, this is dimensions for detail, of which is very important to have that. And then I'm going to group them as a 2D elements under extension. So you can copy paste this information and just paste it that way, just like that, just like that, just like that, just like that. Perfect. And then for finish ceiling, this is now a elements that are under interiors, that are under C, interiors, according to the classification system that we are using here. So I'll copy this also, paste it to there. Or finish wall is also under C, interiors. These are just all interior elements. They're going to be managed by this layer category. So it becomes easier for you to assign layers to elements while you are in the inside of the view, because you should stay to the layer category or layer extension and pick that layer extension, unlike you don't have this system. So if you close this and go back to the classification manager, you see these are the coding that I'm using. So elements that are under interiors will be under C interiors layer extension, just like that. D services for all the services for the project. So let's go back there and finish up the system. Things like this will be 2D, copy paste, markers are 2D information. These are just 2D information. This is under D services. You can still do the same to the MAP, HVAC, MAP plumbing, and then move general. This I'll just leave it for the mass modeling. These are for mass model, of which the classification system doesn't capture this, so because it's generally used for mass modeling. So for shell roof is under B superstructure or B shell. Superstructure, is it how you spell superstructure? I think. And then general bearing, structural grid, these are just superstructure elements. There we go. The site and landscape general. Let's go back to the classification system, classification manager, and see they're under G site work, as you can see. And then under Z general, they are just information about the administration of the project. I think we don't have that, so let's go back to the system, and landscape will be under site work. G site work, copy and paste it there. Perfect. And then you make sure all these layers correspond with the layer combinations, so it has to be visible in a specific layer. So yeah, that's how you basically set the system. For an example, if you close off, and then let's pick a column, or for an example it's a structural member. So if you click on the layer system, you just find by the category, which is it a superstructure element or is it an interior element? So it becomes easier for you to locate the layers under layer list. If it's a huge project, you can imagine how tiring to search, scrolling down to find a layer. It's not something that you want to find yourself going through. So perfect. So from here, we're going to now set up a construction documents placeholders. Like I said, there are different types of construction documents in construction industry. So let's see how we can set up those to enable us when we place any project or we place a model or file, anything in this file, we see how we can extract that information. Go to the layout book, and then here we have a default layers or layer book, layouts that are created or comes with a default template. Let me just delete this thing, and we have also a default masters that comes with ArchiCAD. We have a course that is currently running. It's an in-depth project documentation course in ArchiCAD. So check on the description, find the link there. And this course is a transformational course. Once you enroll in it, will take you through all the stages that are necessary to produce a construction documents for your project. So once you are done or completed the course, you have also a project complete, and this gives you a platform to create your own template, because everything that you've set there is from scratch. The course uses a default ArchiCAD template, and everything is set to of highest quality. You need to see how you can produce high quality drawings, produce high cutting edge presentations using just a default ArchiCAD template. There's no any plugins that are used, but the results are tremendous. So yeah, check in the link and in raw now. So what I'm just doing here is to brush out of what's in the course. For example, we have a setup or a lesson for creating a title block that uses an auto text to extract information from the project info. You will learn how to use the project info parameters to key in any related information for the project, and you see how this information can be extracted in any view or any parts of the project, and place that by using auto text. It's a very powerful feature for annotation, for labeling, for recording and all the likes. So I recommend you to do so. So from here, let's create a first document. Click on new, and let's say the first document is going to be a cover sheet. Let's say cover sheet. This cover sheet will be basically site plan and any project information related, any information that is related to the project. So yeah, and the way you're creating this documents, they have the coding also. Remember, these documents, they address the standard. They have to address the standards of construction industry on creating construction documents. So the labeling of the ID of this document, the first, it has to start with A. Remember, A stands for architectural, and then we have other disciplines documents like structural drawings, mechanical drawings. They're going to have its own also category of coding, so that you can now have it in your plan. So I'm going to use automatic book for the IDs instead of the custom ID. So, and under the drawing ID style, I'm using a numeric value instead of the ABC, because this construction industry is just A1. For example, this sheet will be A1 cover sheet. So let's hit create, and then under the properties, you can see the ID for this cover sheet. It's A.01. So let's create another one for the demolition. If you have an existing structure which is part of the project, so you need to produce a demolition drawings. So even if you don't have it, it has to be in your structure, in your template, because it owns this ID of A0.2. You cannot replace this A0.2 by a different document. It has to be the demolition. So if your project doesn't have an existing project, that means it will skip this code and move into another one. So which is the floor plans. We have floor plans. They call it blueprints in basic terms. So here, floor plans and create. So they are A3 or A0.3. Another document is elevations slash sections. The master layout has to be A1. Create. Another one is interior elevations. These are blown up elevations that shows the fixtures and furniture of the project. And then we have the other one for architectural, which is schedules or reports. And now we can introduce the different disciplines. For example, we have the M for mechanical drawings. Make sure the master layout is consistent. And we have the plumbing drawings. The plumbing, make sure it's so now the idea of these drawings is, because it's a different discipline, it has to reflect that here. For example, for mechanical, it's going to be M. So I'll override the ID under the properties for this layout book. Layout. And then for plumbing also, I'll rename it to P plumbing. And then let's create another for electrical drawings. Make sure the master layout is A1, and then the ID is E. Perfect. From here, you have all these documents. You need to create a report for this document. Normally we use a Microsoft or external program to do that, which is Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office to set up this. But there's a powerful feature in ArchiCAD, which is the sheet index. If you open this, it will keep a record of all the documents that are created under the layout book, and it's automated. So I advise you to go this route because it's very, very handy. Any document that you are creating here, it will be reflected. And again, this is an interactive schedule. If you right click and you can open it, the source view, and customize it. For example, if you hit on index settings, let's see what we can add and remove here under the fields. We can remove field for transmitted and remark. Let's add another field. We can add a field for comment and approved by or checked by. These are important depending on your structure of management in issuing your drawings. So this is basically your issue sheet. Then hit OK, and from here I can customize the table according to what I want. So you can remove the cell borders like that, you can change the color of the text and so forth. So yeah, so if you go back here, that's basically it. And another important part is you can also put or assign it a title block that will address the same or comply or correspond with all the documents, of which is important. In other platforms you have to have a letterhead and print in it, but in this case it's automatic. You just boom there, and instead of just sheet index, because this language is just for ArchiCAD, you can rename it here and say issue sheet. There we go. Now it gives you a proper, didn't change this. I think let's go here and rename the view. Let's rename this view to issue sheet. Didn't change. So I think it's because it's been extracted from the project map. So let's see if you bring it from the view map. Like I was saying, anything under project map you cannot overwrite, but from the view map you can customize. Let's see this can be, maybe I might just to set up this view. Update. There we go. Issue sheet. Let's delete that. There we go. Yeah. Even this you can also overwrite. Say like so. There we go. Number 1. Sorry about that. So the next stage here is to, now you have the construction documents platforms or placeholders set up. You need to now put drawings to this. Where do you get these drawings? You need also to have a system where to extract these drawings from the model, to organize them into some folders and be able to place them in this documents placeholders. Sorry. So to do that, you use the view map. The view map is more like the second project map of the project navigator. So here you can create any custom views, create folders to put these drawings into folders, organize them in a manner that you want to. So to do that, you can let's say create a folder and call it architectural. Let's say A and architectural. This will be where we place all the architectural drawings. There we go. For example, let's assume all these drawings are architectural, and I'll say that throw it there. Let's bring it at the top there. And then let's create another folder for G, which is general. There will be any general info. Is it how you write general? Alright. This will be where we place any general information that is related to this project. You just place it there. So another folder for V, which is survey. Like I said, these are standards of coding the views and drawings in construction. So this will be between general and architectural. So let's say create another view for S, where we put all structural elements. And then the general, I think all this sheet index and all the likes will be under this, will be under general. 3D also will be under architectural. Perfect. So let's create another one for I, which is interiors, and another one for L, landscape elements. C for civil works, and then E for electrical drawings, mechanical, and plumbing elements, and then Q for equipments and furniture elements, then Z for contractor / or shop drawings, basically that. Perfect. And then from here there are those folders that will be generic to all these subcategories, like reports. And yes, like reports, where we'll be putting all the schedules and worksheets, just like that. This is not according to the standard. I'm just bending the rules for these last two folders. Yeah, I think it makes sense when they're outside, because reports, there's tons of reports you can do from the model. So I believe it has to be separate. It has to be an independent folder where you can access all the reports about the project. So yeah, and then from here, let's look at now open the architectural. For example, you need to site, it has to be addressed under the layer combination for a site. You can go to the settings of that and change. Even you can control the scaling of this under this view settings, of which is very, very important. The same applies to the floor plans. They has to be all under architectural. Let's say go to the settings and change this to architectural plans. Ceilings has to be under interiors. Where interiors, just drag it, place it there. Perfect. And it has to be layer combination for interiors. Just like that's how you manage your elements. So you make sure everything suits. Even structural plans, move them to structural, and then make sure it's plans under structural. Yes, plans under structural. Perfect. So that's basically how you do your settings for the construction documents production. From here, I'm just giving you this as a bonus. I'm going to create a project, and so that just a basic project to render a perspective on how you can extract these construction documents into these placeholders we created so far. So, but before you do that, I'm offering you a 30% discount for the project, or for the Create Better project documentation ArchiCAD course. You should just go to the link and click the link. You get your discount offer, and I'll see you in the next call. So from here, let's set up the project and see how we can extract information from. I'll start first by addressing the issue of the elevation markers in the floor plan. So it's not the quality that we or everyone would want to have in his drawing. You normally have the standard of displaying this. Select all this and go to its settings. From its settings, let's open under the marker symbol and text. Change the marker style to circle 3. I like it traditional, like this way. And under the fields and colors, change the background to airspace, basically to remove a background to this marker. Then go up, move up to the marker position or marker section, change the marker size to 15 millimeters. I'll also override the pen to color 1, which is basically 0.13 millimeters. And then let's also do the same to the color text, or the text color to there. And by looking at this preview, I think the text is much bigger. So I might reduce it to 2 millimeters and then hit OK. Let's zoom in, and you can clearly, still is not enough. We can get rid of the name of the elevation on the marker. So to do that, let's go to the info box. Under with the marker reference tool, let's change this to the first place drawing, that, and it will give us the ID and the layout ID, of which is perfect for what we want. But if you look at the the vertical markers, they are, the text orientation is, I think, let's make it consistent with the horizontal one. So select both of them and go back to the settings. I'm gonna make this to be horizontal always. So change this to always horizontal so that it's consistent with all of your markers. Perfect. Forget about the blue part or the blue lines. They're not gonna print when you prepare your documents. So they're just for the guideline. Perfect. Now we need to set up a grid system for us to place a project. So to do so, we're gonna use, you can use a grid tool under, is it where? It should be under view. Should be, yeah, there we go, a grid element under document. But in this case, I'm gonna show you how to use a grid system to set up this. Go to design and open up the grid system. Go down to the grid position, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to reduce the number of the grids and remain with 2. Set the grid B distance to 8.5. Do the same to the vertical grid. Let's reduce to 2 and set the distance of the grid 2 to 10 meters. That's how basically you create the grid system for your project. And you can go to grid elements, and let's hit on grid element settings. Let's override the floor plan parameters. I want it to be under color 1, which is 0.13 millimeters thick. Change the line tool to dash double. Who is dash double? Then move down to the elevation and selection, do the same, pen to color 1, then the line type to dash down. Perfect. And then you can also check the naming ruling. I think I'm happy with the style. There we go, the text style also, and then hit OK. We can hit OK. So graphically it will represent in your cursor to indicate you to place the grid. So just click on the first point and then define the second point direction like that. So let's mirror this. Hit Ctrl M to mirror. Oh, sorry. just mirror it vertically to have your numbers on the top and then your letters on the side. So from here you can also customize the geometry of your label, but that's for another time. Let's just move on for the sake of this demonstration. So go back to the design two palettes and activate a wall tool, and then let's change it assign layer to structural bearing. And if you go to its settings under classification, click on classification and let's assign it a class under build shell superstructure. This will be under vertical enclosures and exterior walls. I think it's exterior wall construction. Then there we go. Perfect. And then if you look at under your properties, this is where you're supposed to be keying in the parameters of the specifications, the description, general information about this element. And it's not visible, as you can see. It's on the only parameter we can set is the structural function. For this case, it's a load bearing. The position should be an exterior. That's the only thing that we can do. We need to see how we can manage other properties. You just hit OK, and then to place this, let's draw over that. We can use a geometry method of chain where we can click point by point like that, like so. But because we are using a grid line to place this, we want to use the reference line on for the center. Let's key in the center so that we can easily draw like that. Perfect. There we go. Now we need, like I was saying, if you go back to the settings under parameters, we don't have any parameters to key in our information about these elements, because you remember this is a build information modeling project or software. You are using information to inform better your project. So let's go to options, and under property manager, let's set up a property for all the walls. So if you look at existing elements here, existing properties that are set that comes with ArchiCAD, it's very, very important. So we need to, under project info, let's add a new property there and call it description. Then hit OK, and let's add another one. We can call it specification. Then hit OK. Then let's select all the product info parameters and assign it, make it available for classes only for, you can, I think this is good for all the properties. Let's say all, for all classifications. As you can see, all classes. Then hit OK. If you select your elements, go back to the properties panel. Now you have you can now key and say this is a 230 millimeter thick wall. Let's say thick brick wall. I'll just give you an example on how you can play around with the information using ArchiCAD. And then from here, if you go to the floor plans, you can start by dragging this information there. And in the course I showed you, there's a demonstration on how to set up a traditional drawing label. This, I think I will leave it to the remainder of the course to clarify that and to make it more traditional. You know what I mean. The quality here is not what we want. So yeah, so as you can see, the rest of the things are just like that. Perfect. So from here, let's see what we can do. Let's place a door and opening to this go to design tool and also do the same. Open the door settings, and then from here under the default library, let's just pick a random door and set up just the basic parameters of this. Click on this arrow and open the model attributes. That's the first part that I need to set for the doors because it defines a lot of stuff. So the 3D level resolution is to be under full. Then the frame pen, the frame and leaf 3D pens, I'll change it to color. No, let's say color 2 for all. Let's say color 2 and color 2. So if you go back again to other parameters, let's also check for floor plans and section. Change this to color 2. Perfect. And oh, sorry, there's another. Let's change this to color 2 as well. And the 2D detail level, let's change it to scale sensitive. And the show reveal on symbol, and we say up to 1:50, then hit OK. So this will reveal all the detail to your project, to your door. As you can see, it's not that standard we want. Select it and go back. Let's say under scale sensitive, yes, and then show reveal symbol on. We need to change the scale of our view so that it can reveal all the detail. But there's another line that wants to change the attributes. Where is it? Is under opening lines. Model attributes. Where are model attributes? 2. Oh, sorry. I think let's override that. Hit OK. And then, like I said, let's change the scale for this to 1:50. There we go. Now we have details around our door. So yeah, you can do the same to other openings. Make sure to do that. If you check on the 3D, it will give also the details in your 3D. But if you don't set the resolution to full, it won't even show the panes as glass. It will give you just a block of a door, just like that. So let's quickly put a roof to this and go back to the design tool. Let's pick a roof tool. This here, when I create, let's create this roof, and the geometry method we're going to use this one. Click to that. There we go. Then check on the 3D. Perfect. Let's change the scale for this roof to 19 degrees. The pitch to 90 degrees. And then I'm gonna suspend the groups and pick these 2 walls, stretch them to the top there. Stretch them to the top here. Then I'm going to use solid element operation to trim off this. There are different ways of doing that, but I believe on solid element operation because it's a live operation. So the operation will be to remain live. Any changes that you made or increase the height of the roof, it will increase also the walls. Others would not do that. So these are the 2 are the targets, and then the operator will be this. Then I'll say subtract with upward extrusion to trim off that. There we go. So now if you check on our elevation, we have something to work with. So you can reduce the extension of that, just like that. Just like that.